Hi, and welcome to It's Really Not Me, It's You. This is a space for real conversation, nothing scripted, nothing rehearsed, just us looking at what's actually there. I'm going to reflect what I see, and you just stay honest in the moment, okay? Because most of the time, we already know. So today, we're just going to bring that out in the open, okay?
Yeah.
So, audience, we have Charla with us today. Hey, Charla.
Hi.
Charla applied to us through our casting call. And Charla, what made you apply? And tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I just really resonated with your description of just getting to know me more, but also having more authentic conversations in the moment of, all right, let's get to the real present moment and whatever comes up. Um, which is a little scary, but also I like that. So
It is. It can be
yeah.
a little intimidating, but we'll get through it together. And
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you replied. Actually, when I went back and read over your application to kind of prepare for our meeting, I'm going to be honest with you. This is why I chose you because one thing that stuck out to me, you said, I'm currently experiencing anxious attachment and a push pull dynamic. And what
hmm
does that actually feel like for you in real time?
Yeah. Well, I've done a lot of work on it at this point, so it's different now, but I guess we're only talking about now anyway. Um, it's just if some romantic situation is like there's no contact. And I don't mean like texting or whatever. I mean like I don't feel connected or I don't know what's going on. That can make me more activated and kind of spin a little bit in like circular thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I've just kind of then my thought has now switched to, okay, what meaning am I making about this? Like, what is the story? What am I saying about really my worth? Um, and really realizing that I just don't do well with uncertainty, but that's my own stuff. So yeah, my friends let me talk to them, which is amazing, and I feel bad for them, but I get my turn too. So yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing. That actually is starting to make sense because when I was looking over your blueprint, this kind of hits your Virgo Scorpio combo. It says you're someone who feels deeply, but you don't always express it right away. And at the same time, you analyze everything before you trust it.
Yep.
So, is that something that you recognize in yourself?
Yeah, and I'll say a little bit more about that too.
Mm-hmm.
Something I've been kind of sitting with is if it is a healthy relationship, um, then how much of that do I bring to that person as well, instead of just venting to my friends. They get to see all of it. It's not very pretty in my opinion.
Yeah.
But then it gets filtered to the person because I know it's not about them. But if I just like show up as I'm chill or whatever, that's not really vulnerable either. So just yeah.
Trying to find that balance of, and maybe it's because I'm in the moment, but I actually can relate to that as well. Um, for me, I was in a 10-year relationship, and that I married him. That was my ex husband. He was my first and only boyfriend. He's actually the only man to this day I've ever been with, and so we got divorced. But he would tell me at times like, "Oh, you just won't open up to me. You just won't tell me things." And it's not that I didn't want to or didn't desire to, but early on in our relationship, I didn't have that emotional safety from him. He was a very reactive person. And it's like, oh, if I tell him things and I know how he's going to just like blow up, why should I tell him things? So it kind of like became a safeguard for me that I'd rather just like filter it through somebody else before I even bring it to him or not bring it to him at all.
Yeah.
And rather than, like after I left that relationship, I saw my role in it, but also I recognized too that from the beginning, I kind of wasn't really in alignment with him. Like he really wasn't my aligned partner, but I didn't at that point when we talk about self-worth, my own self-worth at that point in my early 20s was just that I wanted to be chosen and he picked me. And it's like, well, I'm a commitment type of person. It's like, okay, he picked me, he wins, I'm locked in, I'm not going anywhere. I'm loyal. I'm committed to this. You know, I'm like, I literally am still friends with people I've been friends with since second grade. Like, so it's just like, I'm a long-term person, you know, so I honestly didn't see myself getting to my 30s and being divorced. It was really kind of my worst nightmare. But it got to a point where I had to be honest with myself and with my identity, like, who am I and what do I really need? And did I do this from a place of sovereignty, or did I do this from a place of, like, I don't want to say desperation, but it's just we're growing and we are evolving, you know. So I'm sharing
Yeah.
my experience and being vulnerable with you and with the
Yeah.
audience because, like I say, even though it's really not me, this isn't about me. But I think it's just as important that I show up in my vulnerability because we are having a real conversation, as well as I'm expecting, you know, for you to show up in your honesty. So, how are you in a relationship right now?
No.
No, not
Um,
currently. Okay. So you're in like the between stages with someone. And how are you feeling with everything about being single right now?
yeah. I'm really good at being single actually. It's this
Okay.
part that I don't love. Um, because like you said, it's the emotional safety with the other person or sometimes that's valid and sometimes it's like, am I just creating this or not even giving them the opportunity to show up, or am I more worried about um how it might come off, if that makes sense? So it's not always about them. Sometimes it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have actually ended that. So um mainly because they weren't really showing up. It's like I keep trying to make excuses or try to understand without their input. So then I realized that I was actually more invested than they were, and I was kind of, it wasn't really worth it. I was doing it to
Right.
myself, is what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it does take two people to be actively participating and vulnerable, like especially because even if you come up completely vulnerable and open and that person, they may receive you but they don't reciprocate.
Yeah.
And so then you still feel like, am I in the relationship by myself? Because like, yeah, you're here, but your presence isn't all I need. I kind of need participation. And I'm not giving you a participation trophy if you're not out there on the field, you know? So I can totally understand that. So that brings me to another thing that you said on your initial application. You said you tend to pick people who can't fully see you or show up when it matters. And
Yeah.
so now I want to tie that to something I've seen in your chart. So when I looked at your chart, it says you're actually designed for stability in relationships, but you can also carry emotional intensity. So what happens is you end up choosing intensity over stability. And this comes from your Taurus seventh house and your Scorpio Pisces depth. So do you find that your relationships feel very intense in the beginning?
Yeah, I think it depends. Well, actually, yeah. Just yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So,
So
I mean,
what would stability look like for you? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, it's okay. This is gonna be a weird way to say this, but I also have my Venus in Leo, right? So
Mhm.
I like big love. So if it's not that way, if it's just like, if I feel like this person does not care that who's in front of them, right? It's like not individualized. I'm not really as interested. It's like I almost need a little bit of like love bombing to know that
Yeah.
they're
No,
interested.
I get that. I get that. I
And
totally
so
get that.
that's, yeah. And
Because
at the,
you want to feel, or like, and like I said, it relates back to how my ex made me feel in the beginning. It was like the first day he met me, he asked me out on a date, and he never stopped coming after me on that date. Like it was just like, I'm gonna show up every day. I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna be at your house. I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, well, obviously he wants to be with me, you know. So it didn't feel like I had to guess if he wanted to be with me or I had to, you know. But it, looking back, it was like, yeah, it was a little love bombing. But the other people that kind of approached me, it was boring. And now it's like I want the boring love. I want the boring, steady, calm, not overreactive, because that energy also carries over into other things. And so, you know, even though he was like that in one area, he's intense like that in other areas, and it never came into a chill. And that's no shade on him. I saw who he was, but I thought like, oh, with my nurturing calm presence, I'll rub off on him. And it's not that I wanted him to change, but I thought I would rub off on him, but he didn't rub off on me, and I didn't rub off on him, and we just continued to just clash more and more as I continued to stand in my power. And it's like it was so funny. It got to a point one day he was just like, because at first I was more of the I want to be submissive, I want to do this right type of thing, and then it was like bullcrap. Why am I only? I am feel like I'm losing myself. I feel like I don't know who I am or what I'm doing, and it's like I came into this so assured of me. I had been single my whole life. I knew myself well. It's like I don't do anything I like anymore. And so I started choosing me. And when I started choosing me, he literally told me one day in the kitchen, he was like, "My magic's not working on you anymore." And I was like, "Is he putting me under a spell or something? What does he mean by this?" Like, so I think too, it brought awareness to me. Like, some people are intentionally like playing games. Like they don't know how to
Yeah.
let go and release and just be themselves. So because they need a certain controlled image, they need you to be in a certain controlled image. And when you show up more authentic and from your heart, it triggers them because they're like, how is she okay just being present and being herself and doing this? And they don't have that emotional capacity. And I think at one point we had discussed kind of like off camera about capacity. And that's when I really had to learn that lesson. Like, it's not that we're just incompatible. It's just that we have different capacities for certain things. And I need someone that has a different type of emotional depth. And that's just me speaking on my own needs. But I think as we're older, we kind of like learn our needs more. I don't know how everybody is taught their needs, but I know I had to grow into learning what I needed from, especially from a partner. Um, but now that I know what I need, I definitely know what I don't need. Like, no, that's definitely not for me. So let me ask you this. Do you feel like you trust intense connections faster than you trust consistency?
Hmm. I feel, yeah, this is where it gets very confusing
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like it's been both. Um, if it's intense, it feels like they can go there with the emotional depth,
Mm-hmm.
which is also what I crave, or need actually
Yeah, yeah.
in a relationship. And it feels consistent. But also if it's like, let's say they only want to talk once a week or something, that's a great friend. That's
Okay.
not a relationship for me. Yeah.
Right. Because it's definitely like if it's once a week, it means like you barely think about me. Like every blue moon, I just cross your mind. Like, hey, I haven't talked to you since last Thursday. How is it going? Like,
Yeah.
okay, but
Yeah.
I totally get that. So let's see. When you said also something that stood out to me, you said I used relationships to feel like I was welcome somewhere.
Mm.
Okay, is this actually one of your core patterns? Like trying to find home in relationship.
Yeah. I forgot I said that. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, just like a sense of finding home in somebody else, or even sometimes, well, I've never lived with a partner officially, but like belonging, I think, actually. Yeah.
Okay. And you found belonging. You said you have great friends that you really can confide in and be emotional with, and they're not judging you, they make you feel safe. And so when it comes to your relationship dynamics, what is not mirroring that from your friendship dynamics? Like, how do you choose such great friends but then your partners differ? Like, where do you think that disconnect is?
Yeah. Um, that's a good question because I've been thinking about that a lot, right? My friends can hold me and any kind of anxiety that I show up in. But the
Mhm.
anxiety is kind of one of my biggest parts that I reject personally, right? So I don't want to bring that to a partner because it feels more like really that it could be rejected, I guess, or just totally misunderstood. That's more what happens. Um, and I've noticed this pattern of um, not trying to control their reaction, but trying to like sugarcoat what I have to say. So it's like, oh, I get this on your side, and I also have a lot of Libra placements. So I think about all the perspectives um, and like take ownership for my stuff, but it's like very tidy. It's like not always so messy. And if someone can't see that mess, right? Or if I don't let them see it, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like it feels less authentic. Um, And usually I pick people that that mess or whatever is too much. Um, so there's that.
Okay. I'm happy that you were so honest and vulnerable sharing that with me. And that brings me to something I want to read directly from your blueprint. So your blueprint is broken up into multiple sections. I'll actually go to share my screen. Share screen. Okay. We're going to go to part 3 of your blueprint, which is your living path. And
Okay.
this talks about your incarnation mastery. So, kind of what you're here to master in this lifetime. And it's very connected to what you just said, because you're someone who connects to people like deeply, but your challenge isn't connection. Your challenge is staying connected to yourself while you're in it with someone else. And I think that's what you were kind of expressing. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but, to reiterate what you're kind of expressing when you're with your friends, it's like you've already developed that dynamic of safety and they won't, judge you as much. But when it comes to a partner, you feel like you have to filter yourself for their comfortability.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, that was weird. It just kicked me out. Why does it do that every time I want to share your blueprint? Like it always comes with the blueprint share.
nope.
Let's try this again. Okay, let's go. Boom. Okay, see that out. So I'm gonna scroll, 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 and here I'll show you. Just for the audience, this is the table of contents for a Empress Essence Foundations blueprint. So it starts with part 1, which is just her soul essence. That's your draconic identity. Then her current incarnation. So that just goes over like her current tropical astrology. It goes over her soul contract blueprint and her human design, which is her energetic operating system. So those are the foundations of who she are. We call it like the 5 principles of you. And then it goes into her deep architecture. So it just gives an even more house by house explanation of her draconic houses, which is her oversoul, as well as the full breakdown of her tropical house structure and then how they synthesize together. So how they interlay on her path. And then part 3 is what we're going to now is her living path. And that just talks about her incarnation mastery. So things she's supposed to master in this specific lifetime, her energetic themes, and her karmic patterns, which is why I was asking her some of the things that she submitted on her application discussing her patterns. So I'm going to speed past because it's her business, not y'all's. But she's being so vulnerable and allowing us to understand her a little bit better, and we love that. Okay. And then the last part is just some activation. So things she'll be experiencing in 2026 because yes, the blueprints are that detailed. They'll tell you about what's going on now and a little bit in the future. So your incarnation mastery statement is what you are here to learn, stabilize, and embody in this lifetime. Everything in your chart, your astrology, numerology, and human design points toward a few And see, you guys, this is why this is unscripted. Y'all get to see my mistakes live, and that is not embarrassing for me at all. You know what I'm saying? I love it. I can be so vulnerable with you guys. Let's get back to it. As you can see, the blueprint is so thorough. If anybody purchases a blueprint and tells me that they have no idea who they are, I'm going to be like, did you read the blueprint at all? Did you read it? Because I literally go through everything about you in your blueprint. Okay, let's continue. So, everything in your chart, your astrology, numerology, and human design point toward a few core lessons your soul chose to master. These are not random challenges, these are intentional growth points that shape your life experiences. So, you are here to master emotional stability. You are someone, again, who feels deeply. This is a gift, but without grounding, it can feel overwhelming. What this looks like: strong emotional reactions, feeling things intensely even when others don't, emotional highs and lows, and needing time to process feelings. The challenge: reacting before fully understanding your emotions, becoming overwhelmed by what you feel, and withdrawing or escaping when emotions feel too heavy. So, with that challenge point, are you experiencing that as a challenge for yourself?
The reacting before fully understanding is more like a reaction in myself, if that makes sense. Like
It does.
I'm just like allowing it to happen and then understanding it after, but not bringing it to someone else, like not impulsive blocking someone or something like that. It's more just like, okay, I feel this. This is not fun. What is happening? That's also when I'll talk to my friends because I verbally process too. Um, so yeah, the reaction will be there no matter what. It's basically how I felt her. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's an internal exploration. I totally understand that.
then
Um,
with the withdrawing or escaping, it's like after I felt it and thought it and whatever enough times, then I don't care anymore. So, um, for better or for worse, I guess.
that's powerful. Um, the only thing I want to say, because I'm not you, I'm not living your experience, but as I've read through your blueprint and I was reading through your application again, I'm wondering if that is, your Virgo, you like a certain presentation. And so you feel that safety with your friends, but you want that safety in a romantic space. But
Yeah.
then when your emotions are there, that is how you withdraw, because you would choose to connect those emotions with your friends rather than with the person you're in a relationship with, and you give them a filtered, watered down version of that expression. And then you want them to be your home, but you don't feel them as home or safety enough to be in your raw expression of how you feel, like with your friends. So you need a lover that's your lover and your friend, so that you will feel that safety and you won't have to go somewhere else to get that safety that you're looking for from that partner, and then filling a gap from them. And then, two, it may be that you've analyzed that they don't have the capacity, or that something, in y'all's emotional connection isn't right, but then you choose to stay in the relationship. And like you say, but after so long, which means you already knew it was something wrong in the relationship way long ago, because you don't feel safe or at home enough to make them your friend. And
Yeah.
so that's something that I think right here, it says the mastery: learning who you are independent of others, how to stay grounded in yourself, and how to connect with yourself without self abandonment. Do you feel that that pattern is a form of self abandonment?
Um, yeah, so what I will say is in the beginning, if I feel some of this anxiety, I wouldn't bring
Mm-hmm.
it to them because it's so new that I know it has nothing to do with them.
Right.
Over time, I kind of get to this point of, okay, I'm going to share this, where I'm not saying who's right or wrong or anything. It's just more like, I notice I get activated when this happens. Can you help me? Can we find something that works for both of us? Again, it's still kind of like not necessarily very messy. Um, but I've also had partners that will say, I'm sorry you feel that way, and then leave it there. They're not actually like connected to their own emotions or vulnerable. So then I just feel like seen, but not really. Like it's like tolerated, actually. Um, yeah, and so there have been relationships like that where I've definitely still stayed too long because I think whether it's conscious or not, I wanted them to put more effort in and just like really deepen the relationship with themselves so that they could meet me too. But I've had to learn that that doesn't really happen that way. Um, but yeah, it's still not easy to be like, okay, this is over for many reasons. I don't want to hurt someone's feelings, even, or I don't like conflict. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah,
So it said, let's see. So that was your first mastery, right? Your emotional stability. But then it says right here, your identity sovereignty. Um, this one is your deepest life theme. It says you're naturally relational, but you're learning how to remain yourself within connections. What this looks like adapting to others easily, merging into relationships, and prioritizing harmony over self reflection. And the challenge is losing your identity in relationships, shaping yourself to fit others, and questioning who you are outside of the connection. Are you experiencing any identity sovereignty or any of these type of core themes as it's saying in your incarnation plan?
not currently, but yeah, definitely have. And I think that's also what happens with the anxious attachment is just like, what does this mean about me? Do they not like me? Even again, if it's not conscious, it feels like the subconscious belief of if they don't like me, then I'm not worthy, or maybe I'll never find a relationship that works for me, like those kind of beliefs.
Yeah,
But yeah, the prioritizing harmony, especially, it could be like over explaining or bringing the same thing, but again, just like really, really taking care of their need, or not even taking care of, but anticipating their needs or their response maybe ahead of time.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's a lot of extra effort that I probably don't have to do.
yeah.
Um,
I can relate to that. So just so you don't feel like you're sharing and I'm not sharing. Oh my gosh, before I met my ex-husband, and I think that's another reason that I went with that relationship, stayed in that relationship for so long, was because he just talked and talked, and he was just such an open man. Like he was just open. It didn't matter what it was, good, bad, ugly, mean. He was gonna say it, and I thought that was bold. I was like, okay, he's bold, and I was more reserved. I was more like, I'm very tempered. I care about the words that I express. I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I'm empathetic. So once people get sensitive, then I get sensitive. They're emotional. I'm getting emotional. Like, so me and him were kind of opposites on that regard. However, because of him being so bold and being so reactionary and not really safeguarding the things he said, a lot of things he said would hurt me. But I want harmony in a relationship too. I don't want to fight. I don't want to be in conflict. So I wouldn't express myself even if I thought, like, basically trying to micromanage in my mind how he was going to react. I would be driving home from work some days, sitting there like a conversation I wanted to get off my chest, but I'm trying to predict everything he's going to say, and I'm like, no, don't say anything because I don't want to hear this and I don't want to hear that. And he could say this and he might say that, and that's going to bother me. It's just like, then it'll be worse. And so I don't say anything, and now I'm quiet. And guess what? He's mad I'm quiet, but I'm so unexpressed. Like, I can't say what I want to say because I don't want to have this other argument with you. And I'm already mad and I'm already confused and I'm already sad. And it's just like, it got to a point where I couldn't say anything, and I was so mute in my relationship. And now here I am hosting a show, having conversations, and it's like, man, 5 years ago, I feel like I couldn't even have a conversation in my own home. Like I would go home and things would be so quiet to a point I would like crave silence. I was like, I just need things to be silent because I don't know what I'm feeling. I really don't know what I'm feeling. So that was just a sad place for me relationally, but I had to get to this place too, like in my own sovereignty. So when I'm saying your incarnation plan is talking about sovereignty, I had to get to a place of identity sovereignty in myself as well. So it can be hard when you feel such things deeply and emotionally, like you from a Scorpio perspective, me from more of a Pisces perspective, but both in that water. And sometimes we don't have those partners that are feeling that type of water energy, and so it doesn't come off well. Like you said, to them it feels like a tsunami or a flood, or like we're flooding them with emotions. But it's like, hey, like I need to get all this out. I need to process it. Otherwise, we kind of mute ourselves, or we feel like we have to shrink, or we have to change. And I don't think that's fair to us, that we have to police ourselves and our expression so much when we're just looking to really be. You seem like such a giver. You seem like you're so kind and compassionate, and you really like are considering the other person's emotions and capacity. And I think too, and putting yourself first, as you stand firm in your sovereignty and your identity, it would just look like that a person being giving to you, like a giver being with another giver, rather than a giver being with somebody that likes being given to, but doesn't like stepping up to the plate of, returning that. So I love that for you. And it says the mastery is who you are, learning who you are independent of others, how to stay grounded in yourself, and how to connect without self abandonment. So it says number 3 for your living path, and it says intentional action. You are designed to move, initiate, and act, but your growth is in how you move. So it says what this looks like. You may have strong urges to act or make changes, moments of impulsive decisions, or starting things quickly. Now, you said you don't really relate to acting impulsively. You thoroughly think things out, and I think that your Virgo side of you, like you may be very analytical in the moment and see a solution in the moment, but you wait a little bit just to make sure it's balanced, make sure it's not gonna, do too much. But how do you feel about seeing that as your mastery, a part of your living path?
Yeah, it's interesting because, like I said, I was in some romantic potential, and I recently ended it, and I don't usually do that, but I was like, like very impulsively, like this is so frustrating to how this feels. Like, just why am I wasting my time on this? And so I wanted to just like cut it in that moment, but also give him the chance to show up. But then I kept doing that, and he wasn't going to. So this is like one of the first times I've ever done this, where I just said, it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like you've already set this free, and I'm going to do that too. And I appreciate you or whatever. Like, so yeah, it felt kind of like a change actually. Like I normally am like, well, let's see what they bring to me, and I'm going to give them the opportunity. And it's like, when am I going to realize that they're not doing it? They don't want to do that, or maybe can't right now, capacity, right?
Right.
Um, but rather than like giving them so many chances to where I'm actually waiting for an answer, eh, I should just look at proof, I guess. Um,
You know,
so I don't know.
I
Yeah.
I love hearing that from you. I feel, to me, how I saw it, is that one, that's your sovereignty activating, you choosing yourself, you choosing your time, your self-respect, your energy, and prioritizing it over them, like you say, giving them a chance. Because like you said, the pattern has been what has the chances turned into, and now you're in such pattern recognition. It's like, oh, I'm already seeing the red flags.
Yeah.
Instead of letting the red flags sit there, I'm gonna actually move around, and
Yeah.
it is uncomfortable because it's growth. But
Yeah.
I think that I feel like that's beautiful, actually, because we're all, especially as women, we're taught to, society wants us to be submissive, and you're a woman, so you have to kind of take things. And I feel like love doesn't have to come with pain. It really doesn't. I shouldn't have to be tested this much in order for you to figure out if I'm the one, when there's somebody out there that's gonna see me, been waiting on me, excited about getting to know me. And if that's not you, then that's okay. Like, but I think sometimes we get our feelings involved before we should, and that's something I have to work on. Because when I like somebody, I'm just vulnerable. I like somebody, I'm like, okay, I like this person. Maybe I'll be honest, maybe I'll be transparent. And it's like they don't say they like me back or anything. And I'm just like, okay, well, maybe they just need to get to know me. Maybe they just just like, why don't you need to get to know them to know you like them, but they have to get to know you? Like, why do you know what you like? Obviously, if they liked you, they would like you. It's like when you try new food for the first time. if you try the new food and it hits your taste buds and your taste buds are like, this doesn't taste good to me, you're not gonna be like, well, it needs to grow on me. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time you're gonna be like, I don't like that. You're not gonna cook it for yourself tomorrow. You're not gonna be like, let me eat this every day for 3 days and see if on the third day I change my mind. Most of the time you're not gonna try it again. It might be years later when it comes back around and you're like at a party where that's the only food option and you're like, well, let me try it one more time. And then magically you like it that time. You're like, oh, you know what? 10 years ago, I didn't like this, but today, and that's, like me and my love for cabbage. I love cabbage now. As a child, couldn't stand cabbage. You could not pay me to eat cabbage. I literally like, no, I don't like cabbage. Same thing with tomatoes. I used to hate tomatoes. I used to hate vanilla ice cream. Now I eat all of those things, but it took me a long, long time and also a lot of rejecting of those things. But I don't want to do that to a person, and I don't want a person to do that to me. I don't want to have to be their vanilla ice cream where it takes them 5 years and they're like, you know what? After this 15th time that you presented yourself to me, I've decided I do like you. You're not my favorite like chocolate that I've liked my whole life, but I've grown to like this vanilla. I'm still not going to go to the store and buy it every time. But now that it's here at this party, I'm actually not going to go, ugh, the ick. So I don't want to be somebody's ick that they had to teach
Yeah.
themselves to grow out of. And I think, it's socialization too that we women are kind of empowering ourselves and not keep putting ourselves in this situation. I relate to that, but audience, you might relate to that too because we are talking to an audience when y'all see it. But that's just a little bit about how I feel like I don't want to be doing in the future. What do I know? I haven't been in another relationship since, but I'm prepared. That's why I go over these things situationally in my mind, not in real life. Okay, relational boundaries. So this is another thing that was in your incarnation mastery plan. It says relationships are a major part of your life path, but you are not here to overgive, overadapt, or overcarry others. What this looks like: being deeply connected to others, feeling responsible for people emotionally, and difficulty saying no.
Yeah, that whole part, that's what we're talking about. So,
Well, that's just your incarnation statement. I didn't make this up. I put your blueprint in there, and this is what it spit out. But it says your challenge is taking on too much, staying in situations longer than you should, and confusing love with responsibility. That's powerful. That's
mhm.
powerful. Love is not your responsibility, Charla. It's
Yeah.
not your responsibility to make these people grow or to nurture them into having stronger capacity or to baby them or mother them into, being safe for you. If they're not safe for you, they're just not safe for you. And your no is actually self love. I want you to start saying it like that. Like my no is self love. Me standing in my mess, even if I think it's a messy way of expressing myself, guess what? That's me standing in my self love. And either you accept it or you move around. And if you move around, that actually lets me know you're not my friend. And I need a lover and a friend so I can have my safety in my home and my emotional depth. That's
Yeah.
for you, Charlotte. Okay, so these are some of your core gifts that you have in this lifetime. It says you have relational intelligence and emotional depth. This is one of your greatest strengths. You naturally understand people, read emotional dynamics, sense what others are feeling, and connect deeply and authentically. Charlotte, what do you do for a living?
I'm a therapist.
Wow, that sounds like you're using your gifts in real time. How do you feel about hearing your core gift?
Yeah, it just feels true. Like that feels like a steady yes. I'm also
Perspective.
a photographer. It's a little bit different, but kind of I like the I like to take pictures of humans, like human interaction. So yeah, it's just a different way to use that.
Yeah, a way of capturing others in an authentic expression. Love that. Okay. And then it says your core wound, losing self and connection. This is the central pattern in your life and is working to transform. What this feels like is becoming who others need you to be, prioritizing relationships over yourself, feeling unsure of your identity alone, and giving more than you receive. And it says where this comes from, this pattern is tied to your Cancer influence for your emotional depth, your relational nature in Gemini, Libra, and Pisces influences, and your soul contract learning identity within connection. Okay. So we're gonna move from that part. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and we can just go back. Stop share. So that was a lot, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it was beautiful, honestly, and I think it just shows to a testament of your character and how genuine you are, and it shows up in your path that you're just really really here to choose yourself in this life. You're really here to stand in your power and choose yourself, express yourself, and not give too much to others. So like that's a powerful place to be at. Now when we were going to that push pull explanation in your application, that's not random, right? So parts of you wants love and parts of you doesn't trust yourself inside of the love yet. And so is that kind of being expressed in your incarnation path or in other areas of your life as well?
Yeah. I don't know if this is the universe, but I find that whenever I just accept it and give up or whatever, then I'll hear from that person, which I
Right,
think
law
is
of
very,
detachment. Once you're detached, then they get connected. I completely understand that. And do you feel like when you are in the pull part of that dynamic, is it because of them or is it because of what happens when you get close to them, or is it in moments of closeness?
hmm. Yeah, I guess that depends. So, the last person I was, I don't know, experimenting, um, I was telling my friend about it and they were giving me all this feedback about who this person is, even though they don't know them. And they were like, you should just block them and just telling me who they were. And I was like, that's not fair though. This is actually a human being as well that has their own, and I'm not really someone that blocks unless I have to. So it actually helped me also be more connected to um, just the nuance of everything, where it's like it's not necessarily that they do or don't have capacity, and I do actually give quite a few chances, but after a while, it's like you said, if you don't like vanilla or whatever, rainbow,
Yeah,
um, then this isn't a match. It doesn't have to feel so like, oh, maybe they'll show up for me, or for themselves also, right?
yeah,
In the future, after a certain point, it's like that's not where they're at right now. I can definitely fall for potential.
yeah. I definitely can fall for potential too, because I think with you seeing that emotional depth, because I love depth in people, and I think we may get intervals of people giving us depth because
Yeah.
we can kind of pull that out of people.
Yeah.
When we were going over like the draconic aspect of your chart, it was saying that you're a catalyst. So sometimes you come in and people feel your energy and it's like a surge, right? Because a catalyst is a starting point and they feel that this is the beginning of something fresh and powerful and new. But as they start to get to know you, they realize because sometimes it starts off as mirroring, right? And so they want to match your energy because they love the energy and the expression of it, but then they be like, oh, this is really her energy. And I'm just acting like this. So then they start shrinking back to who they are, and you start trying to pull. Remember that connection we were having, and you're trying to get it
Yeah.
back, and it's like, why isn't it coming back? And they're like, really, I was just copying you because I just loved it. Was loud, it was powerful in my life, and now I'm kind of scared, and I don't want to have to do this inner work to be like you and have this depth. And so, they kind of pull away, and then we start questioning ourselves, like, well, is it me? Like, am I too much? And what am I doing? And it's really them. It's really not you. It's them. It's really not me. It's you. Like,
Yeah.
hey, but don't feel like you have to shut down for the right person. The right person is going to be able to receive you and they'll have that actual emotional depth. They'll actually have done the work. You're a therapist. You love self awareness, apparently. I feel like you're very self aware and you are probably looking for that in a partner. And because you have such compassion and such a love of understanding people, you kind of therapize. Am I saying? I'm making up a word, obviously, right now. I'm a dictionary, I'm making up a word. You might therapize the people in order to give them that compassion and that mercy and that grace, which may be something that you value. But don't do it at your expense anymore. It's against your sovereignty plan and your identity.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to talk about is your life path. So, do you know what life path you are?
I think I'm a nine.
A nine. Yes, you are. And so you're actually someone who's meant to experience deep emotional cycles, especially in relationship, but you're not meant to stay in them.
Mm.
So that is part of your life path nine cyclical nature. So that may aggravate you. You may be like, man, I want something to stick and be long term and I'm tired of doing this. But unfortunately, you signed up in this incarnation to be a life path nine, and you probably have a few more emotional cycles to go because you're using relationships as part of your growth in this lifetime. So I hope that gives you some peace to know that you're not the problem. You're just learning more of yourself through these mirrors that are these other people coming into your life. And most of them aren't going to stay. Most of them aren't meant to stay. You're meant to spark something in them, and then they go off on their journey. And then you see a brief reflection of what you brought to the table, and you remember that it's not you. You hold your ground. You're good. They're growing. You might be an old soul, and they're a new soul, and that's not your fault that they're baby souls. And you just came to give them a little nurturing and send them on their way. Okay. So let's see about this. Let's see. So you're learning yourself. What would you say over the past two relationships you've learned the most about yourself?
Um, yeah, the need, I guess, or urge for clarity, but also certainty. That's a better word. So, like, is this going to be something, you know? Um, and that's, yeah, that's absolutely where I get stuck because it's like, oh, but this was so good. This is what I wanted, and I didn't think it existed. And now it feels like, again, potential. That is happening in the moment, like you said, too, but it doesn't last. So there's no consistency, actually. Um, yeah. And now learning more so anyway that it's not me. And actually, like what you said in the beginning, about like being chosen versus
Yeah.
now versus choosing, right? So it's not about anything being wrong with this person. It's just not aligned. It's not a match or anything wrong with me either. It's just I require a certain level of depth and presence that is scary to people that haven't gone there in themselves. And also, I'm not their therapist. Um, Actually, when I started being a therapist, I learned boundaries real quick on not bringing that to my relationship because I want them to get their own.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Yes. But I think, and while you may respect their boundaries, you over respect their boundaries to a point of abandoning yours because you're trying to give them and their potential room to grow. And so that is still kind of like being their therapist in a way, because you kind of want them to evolve and you want to be patient enough to watch them evolve as if they're your client. And you're like, this is not my client. They are not paying me to be here. And actually, they're not giving me any of my needs to be here. So it is okay to say no. But if they do want my help, here's my business card. Call me and pay me a fee, for my time and energy. Like, that's where you need to be at now. But let's see. I wanted to go over, and again, you will get your full blueprint at the end. I don't feel like the whole world needs to know your entire blueprint, but I did want them to kind of see what is in a blueprint. And then I wanted to kind of use some of the questions that I asked you at the time of, the application as a means of having our episode and our conversation. But I will tell you, because in the last part of the blueprint is the future arc and your 2026 activations. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what you are going to be experiencing throughout 2026. And hey, we're like a quarter in, right? We're like a third into the year. We're going to start May, and that's like quarter two. We broke it down in 4 month periods. Then we have 3 quarters. If we broke it down in 3 month periods, then we're still in the beginning of quarter two, either way you see it. And so I just kind of want to tell you a little bit about your 2026 theme. I won't share the screen or bring it up, but I'll tell you. So it says the theme for your 2026 year is not a soft year for you. It's a theme of identity stabilization through structural presence. So how do you feel about hearing that it's late April? How has the first 4 months of this year been, and is it anything structurally changing or has changed in the past 4 months when it comes to your identity and how you see yourself?
Yeah. I'm also obsessed with astrology, so I kind of follow the uh, huge shifts that are happening right now. So
Yeah.
kind of I'm really good at seeing it in other people and their own story and reflecting back where they might be on that. But for me, it can be a little bit more cloudy. Um, but I'm like, what am I? Something is changing. I feel like something is structurally changing in the past. I used to need or almost need relationships. And now I'm like, I still want one. I'm still gonna be a lover girl forever, probably.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't need one. And I don't, it's not really about me anymore. It's like I know myself better than I ever have. And I actually, that can't be, that doesn't waver. That's like, I'm very sturdy in that. Doesn't mean it's comfortable if somebody sees that and rejects it, but I also am very aware that they don't actually know me. They
Yeah.
can't, in such a short time, or it just doesn't affect me as much anymore. Yeah. So it's like I don't know, there's less I'm putting up with,
And
essentially.
you know what? It literally says identity stabilization.
Yeah.
So, like you said, like on a internal structure, you're like, this is me, and I'm getting to a place where I'm so comfortable in myself. If you don't like it, that's a you problem. And I love that. I love that for you. Like, yeah, let it be a them problem, because if they're not taking the time to actually get to know you and trust you and build a connection with you, then everything they are rejecting from you is something inside themselves. I love Carl Jung. For those that are into psychology and understand who Carl Jung is, but what he said is, we'll have, if we don't bring the subconscious to the conscious, then we'll just be going through life unconsciously and calling it fate, and it's not really fate. It's really us projecting things onto people that happened to us when we were 10 years old, and now we see everybody that looks like this way, and so I think that is a reality of the world we live in. Some people are self-aware and constantly seeking that inner journey of self-actualization and individuation and knowing themselves, and some people are constantly running from themselves and projecting heavily onto other people things that they won't look at inside themselves. And as a therapist, I'm sure you love, can see people bringing those things to the surface, and those aha moments of, oh, that was me in that situation when I picked that fight with such and such over that trigger that happened to me because I of the thing in third grade. But for most people, they run from therapy too. So when you tell them you're a therapist, that might be a turn off, because they're like, oh, she's gonna see me. I don't want to be seen. That's absolutely the most terrifying thing ever. And so it
Exactly.
says
Yeah.
it is a year that will require clarity, boundaries, decision making, and emotional maturity. This year is designed to remove confusion, expose misalignment, and force structure into your life. So that is what 2026, the year of the fire horse, is burning all of those illusions so there's no confusion, and it's exposing everything that's misaligned, because when the structures burn down, you see the foundations, and you're being able to like restructure yourself from the ground up. It says your primary activations for 2026 is identity versus relationship realignment. This year will highlight where she has been overextending, where you have been unclear in relationships, and where you have been holding on out of familiarity. Okay. So just for the simple fact that you don't want to start over a new connection, and sometimes you stay in the connection because, well, at least I know this one, even though it's not what I want. But I think you, like you said yourself, you're surprised you said no so quickly. And that's part of that activation happening right here. It's like you're choosing you over relationships that don't fit. And
Yeah.
said you will be asked to choose self-alignment or emotional comfort. And there will be moments where relationships feel tested, dynamic shifts suddenly, and clarity replaces confusion. It's also another thing that's happening for you this year. It says emotional maturity expansion. With your emotional authority, this year will push you to stop reacting immediately, stop making decisions in emotional peaks, and allow time before commitment. And you will experience emotional waves that reveal truth over time. And the lesson is clarity is not instant, clarity is built. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that feels true. and also exciting. Some of that I'm like, maybe I'm not there yet, but
Yeah, so clarity is not, it's not instant. You're right. In the first 2 weeks, they might text you once a week because they themselves don't want to seem thirsty. But hey, 3 months in and they're only texting you once a week, I feel like they don't like me. I'm gonna move on more quickly, you know. So I do kind of see that. It also says that you're gonna have things happen in your career and life direction, and that's what the structural pressure is. It says your Virgo midhaven and Capricorn soul influence will activate strongly. This means increased focus on work, purpose, and direction, pressure to organize your life, and need for consistency and discipline. You will feel the need to get serious about your life. This is not pressure to break you, this is pressure to shape you.
yeah, I could see how that could show up.
What's the most serious thing you've been like, I got to do this now in your life right now?
Yeah, I started to get like more ideas of basically another job I want to have, um, or just another way I want to show up in the world that I could get paid for. Um, and then I realized, wait, I'm still working on for therapy. I have so many notes I have to finish, or I have my LPCC, so that's like not licensed yet. I have all the hours I need, but I need to take the exam. I need to do so. Don't let this idea distract me from this goal. Like I have to actually finish here. I don't want to lose the idea, but I don't think I will. And doing photography too, I just work a lot. So even if I was to go on a date or something like that, takes a lot. That takes time. That takes
Yeah,
time out of my schedule, and yet I need balance. I can't just be working all the time. So I don't know what the answer is yet, but I know something needs to change. Yeah.
I completely relate to that. Um, as you can see, I'm building this show and I'm building my Empress Almanac. I want to just spend my life making blueprints, talking to women about themselves and sharing a little bit about myself. And it's like, as much as I want this to be my full-time job, it's not. I sell insurance, everybody. Final expense. But um it would seem like, oh, throw everything away and just focus on this, but also how would I pay my bills?
Yeah.
And I don't like that part. So it just feels like a transition, but don't give up on that other idea. It's probably connected because you are having your identity stabilized. So it's probably the higher version of you putting that
Yeah.
in your mind that this is like our direction that we're going to go. But you want to tidy up those loose ends from, where you are now. And so I think that's excellent. Write those ideas down, work on it a little bit at a time, and it'll appear in the reality because if it's already in your mind, that means you already see it. So it's really there. It's really there. Let's see. I'm gonna go over one more thing about um your 2026 activation, and then I'm gonna talk about something that is random that has nothing to do with your blueprint. So
Okay.
the boundary enforcement cycles. So that's something you'll be experiencing this year in 2026. Situations will arise where you're asked to overgive, you feel pulled into others' needs, and you'll be tested in maintaining your limits. This is intentional. Life is asking, will you choose yourself now? So think about that as your biggest question for 2026. Am I choosing myself right now? And if you're not choosing yourself in those moments, then redirect. Choose yourself. That's always going to be the best answer for you to in 2026 is choosing yourself. What feels best for Charla, and everybody else can kick rocks if they don't like it. And if they do like it, they'll respect it because they'll be like, "Dang, that girl's got a backbone for herself. I need to give me a backbone." So, one thing I want to talk about too is this is your North Node. So your North Node is in Sagittarius, 6th degree. And we know this is an evolutionary direction. So your South Node is in Gemini. So your North Node is where you're going to. That's part of that incarnation plan. And your South Node is where you've been in past lives and what you're trying to evolve out of. Okay. So it says, let's start at your South Node in Gemini. It says you default to, this is what feels natural. This is what you've already mastered, and this is where you can get stuck. You default to overthinking, analyzing everything, needing constant information, questioning instead of deciding, adapting to environments quickly, and seeing multiple perspectives. You are extremely mentally agile, which is beautiful. But the problem is too many perspectives equals no grounded truth. And that's the south, like your south node shadow can become indecision, over processing, seeking external validation through information, and talking instead of embodying, and staying in, figuring it out instead of choosing. Okay. So you can understand everything but commit to nothing. Does that sound like you're like a south node issue that you've been experiencing in real time?
Yeah, I attributed that to all my Libra placements because my Mercury, Mars, and Jupiter are all Libra, so I can see, but yeah, I mean,
That
that's
is your south
100%.
node in Gemini. You're like the twins, and it goes like I'm thinking this through. I'm being logical, but also my emotions are overwhelming me, and I feel this way, and I don't want to do it, but I gotta think it through, and so it comes like this. These two twins having a conversation in the back of your background, and then your Virgo presentation is calm, but you're overthinking constantly in your
So
background.
funny.
So it says this is your north node. So this is how you evolve that part of yourself, okay? Which is Sagittarius in the 6 degrees. So the north node is like the direction your life is going to push you toward, and it represents growth, expansion, unfamiliar territory, and necessary evolution. And so your Sagittarius is not about information. So as much as you're overthinking and analyzing and keep bringing up the information, your Sagittarius wants the truth, not facts, not opinion. It wants the truth. And so you must learn to choose a direction, trust your internal knowing. Sometimes you know things way before you even express it. When you get that little ick, that little twinge, that little twitch in your eye, that little like hesitancy, that's you already developing the truth. Okay. And then it says you need to stop needing endless data. Don't keep waiting for more confirmation. You don't need
Oh,
more
yeah.
confirmation. You already feel like it's wrong. Something's already, the alarm already went off. Don't hit snooze. You don't need to sleep on it. Okay. And it says move with belief instead of certainty. You don't need to be certain. You don't need to wait till everything's been like, oh, there it goes. Now I have the answer 6 months later, even though I've been kind of prophesied to myself that this was going to happen. I needed to see it happen. So I had the proof that it was going to happen because I don't want to just label a person. Okay. Your intuition is very strong and very powerful. You're not labeling them, it's alignment. Okay. That's what your Sagittarius, that's what your North Node and your Sagittarius, that's how you reach embodiment instead of holding things out. You need to just go ahead and move with your belief, even if you're uncertain. Okay. And it says your Sagittarius says you don't need to know everything to move. You need to decide and walk. Okay. So this is the shift from thinking to knowing, from analyzing to believing, and from gathering information to living in your truth. Your Sagittarius degree, the 6th degree, carries themes of responsibility and choice, alignment through decision, and commitment to your direction. So this isn't casual Sagittarius energy. This is choose your path and stand in it. So it's kind of like a this me and I'm proud of it. Okay. So how do you feel about that comparison of your north node and your south node? Now that's not in your chart. I mean, of course it shows you in your chart because we do the full house breakdowns, but I just wanted to share that little tidbit with you because I think that's ultimately your push pull is you're trying, your soul is trying to bring you to that north node energy, and your incarnation path is kind of like testing you in your previous south node energy. And so you feel a certain thing, you believe it, and then you wait for certainty, you wait for it to actually show up, and then you get mad. You're like, I should have, kind of broke this off 3 months ago because nothing changed, but I didn't do it when I saw it or when I knew it the first time. So that's just me on a rant. How are you feeling?
Yeah. I, uh, every single time I've got the ick about someone or something, I've been correct, but I always have been like, well, that's not fair. I just met them. Like, that's just me being a bitch. Like, I should, give them a chance as a human, and then, or sometimes as romance or whatever. And always was right.
Yeah,
Um,
no, you're definitely right. So from here on out, know that that's your north node activating, and it's telling you this is not the direction we need to go in. You're not misjudging people. You've seen enough patterns. You've recognized enough red flags. You literally coach people, you therapy people. You know you can recognize it. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Remember, your theme is what?
self. Sovereignty.
Choosing yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. You got to choose Charla. Okay. So that's your theme. So that's all I have for you today.
Cool.
I've thoroughly enjoyed this. How have you, how was this experience for you? Was it what you imagined?
I don't know what I imagined, but I loved it.
That's good. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I will
Yeah.
get your full blueprint over to you, and you can reach out to me at any time if you have any other questions, or even if you just want to give me your feedback or opinion. I
Yeah.
know it kind of wasn't the original direction I was taking to. You guys, I'm going to share audience. I went to record with Charla 2 days ago, and I was so delirious about my rocker, and we had so many technical issues. We had to redo this again. This conversation is nothing like the first conversation we had, which proves it's unscripted and it's a genuine conversation. Because if y'all had to watch the first recording, I started completely differently. I told her completely different things about her blueprint, and she didn't know any of these things that I told her today because that's one, how thorough the blueprint is. It has so much information. So she had absolutely no idea. She probably thought I was going to repeat everything I already had told her, and I surprised her. I did not. That way we can have an organic new conversation. And so shout out to Charla for participating. We loved having you, Charla. Thank you so much. Charla is our very first episode of many more to come. I hope the other women cherish and enjoy their experience as much as you have. And I thoroughly appreciate you giving me the opportunity to explore your blueprint, learn a little bit more about you, and even share with myself. Because as I tell, I'm the first case study, you guys. So I'm always going to share with myself, with my ladies, what they've gone through and what I've gone through, because this is why I made the blueprint, to know myself and for others to know themselves. So I hope it was thorough, and I hope that you take away some amazing knowledge about yourself and know that everything you're experiencing is on purpose.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Okay, everybody, we're gonna say goodbye for today.